Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed speakers, good afternoon and welcome to the first ever Virtual Business Investment Summit organized by the Confederation of Asia Pacific Chamber of Commerce Industry, CACCI, and co-hosted by the Chinese International Economic Cooperation Association, CIECA Taiwan, the Chinese National Association of Industry and Commerce, CNAIC Taiwan, and the Importers Exporters Association Taipei, IEAT. Thank you all for joining us today and participating in this important event. While many of you here know and have worked closely with CACCI, please allow me to begin with a brief introduction of our organization for the benefit of those who may not be familiar with the Confederation. CACCI is a regional body of chambers of commerce and industry, business associations, and business enterprises in Asia Pacific. Since its establishment in 1966, it has grown into a network of 28 national chambers from 26 countries across the Asia Pacific region. CACCI's major objective is to provide a platform for businesses in the region to network and explore possible areas of cooperation. In doing so, increasing business interaction and promoting regional economic growth. Today's Business and Investment Summit, in fact, was conceptualized as a forum to further these goals. It is but one of several activities CACCI has planned this year to celebrate the important milestone of its 55th founding anniversary. And depending on the outcome of today's event, more business investment summits may be organized in the coming months to showcase other CACCI member countries. Additionally, the group is currently pursuing a study project on restructuring the world's trading system, which is aimed at assisting efforts to inform and support WTO reform. The study is intended to address current issues surrounding trade investment, as well as help raise the profile of the business sector as a serious policy advocate for promoting cross-border trade based on principles and rules. All the undertakings are especially valuable with the ongoing pandemic, with many countries still struggling to regain their footing. Fortunately, the economic forecast released by the Asian Development Bank in April 2021 indicate that economic revival is underway and recovery in developing Asia has begun. The region's growth is forecasted to increase to between 5.9 to 7.3% in 2021 and 4.4 to 5.3 in 22. According to recent reports from the World Bank and the UN Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Asia and Pacific, US CAP, among others. Given such an optimistic outlook, now is the time to invest in the region. To that end, the CACCI Business Investment Summit can help bridge the gap between nations and international investors so that each can find the best fit for their needs. Today, we have with us representatives from Bangladesh, Taiwan, and Vietnam, three countries that all have been promising business prospects. Despite being impacted by the pandemic, the economy of Bangladesh now shows a positive outlook. An April 21 report by the World Bank found early signs of recovery in the South Asian nation, whose growth is said to be supported by recovery in manufacturing and construction and a robust growth in the service sector. Taiwan, meanwhile, had the fastest growing economy in Asia in 2020, growing faster than China for the first time in 30 years. The International Monetary Fund in April raised the GDP growth forecast for 2021 to 4.7, significantly higher than the 3.2 forecast last October. Key industries for investment include smart solutions, biomedicine, green energy, circular economy industries, and advanced semiconductors. Like Taiwan, Vietnam economy has also expected to grow. ADB's Asian Development Outlook expected it to rebound to 6.7% this year and then rise to 7% in 2022. The strong and steady growth is said is due to Vietnam's success in containing COVID-19. In closing, I'd like to thank our co-hosts for today's event, CIECA Taiwan, CNAIC Taiwan, and IEAT, as well as our speakers from Bangladesh, Taiwan, and Vietnam, for what will undoubtedly be three very interesting and enlightening presentations. I'm confident that this summit will be fruitful and will be a fruitful endeavor for all intendants, and that significant deals will be made. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you very much, President Samir Modi. My name is Christy Suwan, the Director of Taiwan ASEAN Study Center. I am very honored to moderate this important, timely, and prestigious business forum, and welcome you all to this timely event. We heard from Mr. Modi's speech that Asia is among the first regions in the world to recover from the economic crisis, though some will rebound more strongly than the others. Most Asian economies also face serious challenges and risks, so the road to growth is still bumpy. In today's visual conference, we invite speakers to share with us the economic outlook of some of the most dynamic economies in Asia: Bangladesh, Taiwan, and Vietnam. These three economies advanced relatively quickly along the global recovery curve in 2021. As a matter of fact, all three economies had enjoyed strong economic growth made possible by increasing trade and foreign direct investment before the pandemic. They are also frequently referred to as among the biggest beneficiaries of the US-China trade war and restructuring of global supply chain. For example, Vietnam has become the most popular destination for Taiwan's outward foreign direct investment in the past 3 years. And Taiwan's FDI in Bangladesh had also significantly increased before the pandemic, particularly in textile and footwear sectors. I would like to introduce our panelists and discussants today. The first panelist is Mr. Mohammad Hassan Arif. He is the General Manager of Bangladesh Economic Zone Authority, BEZA, under the Prime Minister's Office. He will make a presentation on the business outlook and investment opportunities in Bangladesh. Following him will be Mr. Shekhar Rajeshekaran to present a business point of view. Shekhar is the Managing Director and Sub-Cluster Head, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka Citibank. The second panelist is from Taiwan, Mr. William Tan, the Director of Invest Taiwan. He will introduce business investment environment of Taiwan. After his presentation, it is Mr. Brett Aaron who will provide an investor's perspective. Brett is the CEO of Bobby International Corporation. The last panelist is Ms. Hong Tuan Tan. He is the head of Investment Promotion Division of Foreign Investment Agency under the Ministry of Planning and Investment of Vietnam. Following her presentation is Mr. Brian Chen, partner of KPMG, who is also the director of the Council of Taiwanese Chamber of Commerce in Vietnam. He will provide a business point of view. We encourage all participants to raise your questions and comments in the chat box so we can collect them for interaction after the presentation. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite the first speaker, Mr. Mohammad Hassan Arif. Mr. Arif, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. I thank you all for joining this investment summit, very important investment summit arranged by CACCI and all the co-organizers. And I thank for including Bangladesh and especially inviting Bangladesh Economic Zones Authority to participate in this investment summit. First of all, I would like to also inform that actually my executive chairman was supposed to join this, but he is currently unwell and we hope that he recovers soon. And also I would like to thank all the participants and our friends and colleagues all over Asia Pacific for being with us, because this year is our golden jubilee of independence. We're celebrating our 50th year of independence this year. And throughout this excellent and astounding economic endeavor, your contribution is very much appreciated. So I'll move on to my presentation. I'm going to share the screen and start the presentation. So is it visible to all? My presentation is visible?
You have to click share. Do you have this presentation? No. One second. Press share screen and then upload the file. Yes. There you go.
I hope now I'm visible.
Yes.
Thank you. So welcome to my presentation. It's about Bangladesh, and it's actually about business and investment opportunities in Bangladesh. And also at the end of my presentation, I'll also inform a bit about my activities and also our activities in Bangladesh Economic Zones Authority, that is BEZA. In Bangladesh, we have now offering unique opportunities for investors from all across the world, and we're considering Bangladesh as a land of abundant potential. So how does the world now looking at Bangladesh? So you can see from various global entities what they're assessing, how they're assessing Bangladesh. Like Bangladesh is one of the 5 frontier economies, next 11, and also the prospective country. Those are some of the evaluations of the global entities about Bangladesh and its prospect and potential. Bangladesh has been considered as one of the strong player in South Asian aspect in recent years. If you see the economic growth of Bangladesh, we are maintaining and we are performing and we're offering one of the highest GDP growth in the region, and more than even 7% and 8% over the last decade. Even in the COVID-19 situation, our growth was satisfactory and maintaining growth percentage over 5% in both in 2020 and then the just concluded 2021 fiscal year. So what are the Bangladesh investment ecosystem constituents are? We have got a stable and robust economy offering attractive and incentives for investors, and there are various sectors of choice for the investors in Bangladesh. And some of the key features of our investment climate, uh, which are attractive for various investors. We have got unrestricted entry and exit policy for the investors. 100% foreign equity is allowed for a wide range of sectors. And we treat equally both local and foreign investment, and it is protected by law. We have got liberal visa policy for the investors, simpler procedure for profit and dividend repatriation, and also relaxed access to working capital loan foreign parent companies, and continuously increased balance. And there is an ongoing effort for climate improvement also. And this ease of doing business reform is going on has been taken by the government and being implemented even now. We have got various bilateral investment treaties with more than 30 countries, and also double taxation avoiding treaties with around 30 countries. And we are a signatory of all the global investment instruments also, like ICSID, and also the members of MIGA, WIPO, and WIPO, and of course WTO. FDI inflow is growing in Bangladesh. It's maintaining and hovering around the $3 billion mark, even during this COVID situation. Also, we are experiencing satisfactory, but of course, there is a chance, or there is a scope of improvement in attracting foreign investment. And if we just analyze the sources and sectors, you'll see the various sectors that are attracting actually investment from various foreign countries, including petroleum sector, textiles, of course, our forte, and also banking, power sector, and other sectors which are attracting investment from abroad. And by region, you will see from here that various from throughout the world, we are actually attracting investment, including our friends in Asia Pacific. And one of the drivers of this robust economic growth is, of course, this domestic demand also, and private consumption is driving this GDP growth. And of course, there is a affluent and middle class consumers who are also contributing. And GDP per capita consumption and expenditure both are showing a kind of upward trends. But of course, these positive trends are actually being a little bit hampered by this ongoing pandemic situation. What are the strengths of our economy? Why we are attracting, why we are being so attractive for the investors from all over the world? One of the major issues to be considered by the investors is like of course, the wage. And Bangladesh has got a competitive and of course young and talented workforce in comparison to other countries or members from the region. And Bangladesh is and will continuously be state with competitive and talented labor. And if you consider some of the countries, some of the nations, if compared our capital Dhaka, you can see the minimum wage. I think it is the cheapest in the region, and which is of course a good news for any investor. And again, another inputs for industry, if we consider the utility cost, Bangladesh also offers like the cheapest utility rates in the region. If you see countries from around Bangladesh, you'll see both in terms of electricity rate and water rate, we offer the cheapest rate in the region. And it becomes Bangladesh attractive destination for any investor. Bangladesh offers set of incentive facilities and privileges for investors. There are fiscal fiscal in forms of taxes, reduced income tax, tax exemption. Those are there. We have got bonded warehouse license and accelerated depreciation, others, and also subsidies in the forms of subsidies. We offer cash incentives for export-oriented industries, and we have got export development fund to benefit exporters from Bangladesh. And there are, of course, non-fiscal incentives for investors also. And these incentives are, we think, one of the most competitive incentive packages of the region. And investors, particularly located in economic zones and export processing zones, I'll be discussing about incentives of economic zones, especially in the later part of my presentation. Those are they are entitled for different kind of incentive package also. So due to this shortage of infrastructural facilities, the government has undertaken a massive infrastructural upliftment, and some of the major projects, mega projects, are coming up. Like we are developing 2 deep sea ports. One is in the southeast, like called Matarbari, and another one in the south of Bangladesh called Paira Port. And Matarbari has got a draft of 18.5 meters, and which is already started operation, and Paira is coming up. The Dhaka airport is having a new terminal. It's under construction, including a cargo village. We are developing the biggest longest bridge of Bangladesh over the river Padda, and which will be connecting the southwestern part of Bangladesh. The first metro rail is coming up in Dhaka city, which will ease the traffic congestion, and it will be opening hopefully this year. And some other lines will be joining in the coming years. So this will ease the traffic situation in Dhaka. Also, there will be bus rapid transport. And we are, as I have mentioned, we are developing various economic zones, export processing zones, and high-tech parks for investors from in and around the country. So some of the sectors which are open for investment, which can be lucrative for investors. Of course, as you know, Bangladesh is a strong player in the ready-made garment sector. 80% of our exports are being coming up from these ready-made garments. So we are manufacturer of high-end apparel items and clothing accessories. Of course, this can be a good sector for investment. Leather sector, Bangladesh has got inherent strength in this also. This is a potential sector to be invested in. Pharmaceutical, active pharmaceutical ingredients and medical equipments in these COVID days, medical equipment and devices. This sector is also can be prospective. And software and IT sector, both in terms of offshore development and BPO centers and ITES or BPO services and software development. These can be some potential sectors for investors from Asia Pacific region. And there are inherent strength of our workforce and our structure also to be supplementing the investors in their initiative. Agro and food processing sector, government is providing various incentives for the investors in this particular sector also. And agriculture tools and machinery, as Bangladesh economy still is kind of dependent on agri products, electrical and electronic products, that can be another sector, and of course automobile. Even in the just placed budget in the parliament last evening, we have got offered new incentives for automobile manufacturing in Bangladesh, and we hope this will attract more automobile assemblers and manufacturers to have their plants in Bangladesh. And shipbuilding can be another sector offering incentives for investors in this particular sector. So if I can now move on to BEZA, Bangladesh Economic Zones Authority, which is under the Prime Minister's office. And BEZA has started its operation back in 2010 after the passing out of this BEZA Act. And we have got a mandate to setting up various economic zones throughout Bangladesh. And we have got an initial target of setting up 100 economic zones by 2030. And already 97 of those zones sites have been approved by the government. And the commercial operation is going on already in 9 of the zones. And under constructions economic zones, the number is 28. And we expect that at least 10 million new jobs will be created due to this development of these economic zones, and contributing more than $40 billion of products. So why somebody will be investing in these economic zones? Bangladesh, you know, is a small country, but this economic zones initiative will be offering adequate land, unencumbered land for the investors, and there will be uninterrupted utility connection. There will be a special incentive package, both fiscal and non-fiscal, both for the developers of the economic zones and also for the unit investors. And we are offering simplified business procedures for them, which will be making their lives easier throughout one-stop service. And these economic zone investors will be having access to both domestic and international markets. Till now, we have got investment proposal in our zones in and around $27 billion. Total number of investors, you can see already the foreign investment will be more than $1.5 billion. And there are foreign investors number you can see from here, from various countries in and around the world. We have taken special COVID-19 preparedness so that investors can still feel and can visit us, and of course online facilities is available. And due to that, even during this COVID-19 time, the investment spree in the economic zones is continuing. Land allotment is going on. We are signing land lease agreements also, and more than 106 investors have come to us during this COVID time also, and proposed investment is also more than 3 billion. As I have mentioned earlier, we will be offering competitive incentive packages, both fiscal incentives. You can see income tax waivers will be there, dividend tax will be there, waivers, capital gain tax, VAT exemption on all the utilities, and there will be no tax on royalty, take, know-how, and income. There will be no tax for the income of the workers, and you can import your capital machineries and construction materials duty-free. And these facility packages are unique in economic zones. Of course, you can have the details from our website, or you can have scan this from here also. The non-fiscal incentives, if I can mention, of course, there will be bond facilities, easy customs procedures, separate procedure for customs in economic zones. There is no restriction on telephonic transfer, which was a demand from one of the important partner of Bangladesh. And remittance revenue, sending dividend profit, repatriation of dividends, there is 100% these are allowed to be repatriated. And these are also unique in economic zones. And for zone developers also, we are offering similar kind of income tax, dividend, and capital gains waivers. So both the unit investors and zone developers will be like experiencing similar kind of incentives in economic zones. And economic zones, some of the potential sectors, this is not exhaustive, of course. Some like appliances, mobile phone, motor vehicles. Already we have got factories coming up, assembling like electric vehicles in one of our economic zones. And already one of the global players in motorcycle industry has got a plant in one of our economic zones. So we hope there will be more investors in these particular sectors in various economic zones throughout Bangladesh. And now I'll focus on some business process simplification initiatives that we have undertaken. Like OneStop Service. BESA is the pioneer in offering one-stop service in Bangladesh. We have got a full-fledged one-stop service center. It's a single window service under one umbrella. It is cost-saving, of course, and time-saving, and it will make the life of the investors easy. And from here, you can, of course, access to our OSS portal directly. So this is totally time-bound, and currently we are offering services so that from the investment registration to starting of construction, kicking off construction, you can finish the whole process if you go through this one-stop service in the economy within 100 days. And this is time-bound. There is standard operating procedure for all the services so that the investor can be assured that when and how he will be getting these services, particular service. I'm not going into the details due to time constraints, but you can see this is all time-bound services that BESA is offering through its one-stop service right now. And there is a, as I have mentioned, stipulated time. There is a legal obligation to offer these services. These are most of the services we are converting into online, so you need not even come physically. There is a coordination among various government entities, and all the government entities providing service through one-stop service, they have got designated focal points over here, and there is standard operating procedure for all the services. And we are converting all the services into online. Currently, we are offering 125 services, and among those 48 services are being offered online. So here you can see the various services now there which we are providing online. 48 online services are currently being offered to investors. And this is a figure like till to date how many investors are being benefited start receiving these online services. So if I may like now shed a little bit light on various economic zones, most of the times investors want to know from us about our economic zones. There are economic zones throughout Bangladesh now which are ready actually for the investors. Land is being allotted in these economic zones. I'll particularly point out to our Dhaka, Chattogram, the capital Dhaka and the port city Chattogram, and the economic corridor in between. And most of our economic zones are actually being constructed in and around Dhaka and Chattogram area, addressing this economic corridor. And our flagship project is Bangabundu Sheikh Mujib Shilpanagar, that is Bangabundu Sheikh Mujib Industrial City, which is located near Chattogram and named after Father of the Nation. You can have some of the various details about the Bangabundu Sheikh Mujib Shilpanagar. As I mentioned, it is adjacent to the Dhaka-Chattogram economic corridor and only 60 kilometers away from the main existing port, that is Chattogram port. And all the utility connections are available: gas, electricity, water, and land is being allotted over there. And already industrial construction is going on, and first of the industries we hope that will be coming to commercial operation within 1 or 2 months over there. Some other areas of this Bangabundu industrial city, you can see the development is going on over there. Massive infrastructural development is going on with the help of various government agencies. Another economic zone is situated a little bit north of Dhaka, and that is Jamalpur Economic Zone, we call it. It is also directly connected to Dhaka city and the rest of the country, and it is particularly suitable for the agro-based industry. And land is being allotted, and some of the industries they have started construction of their plants over there. Another promising economic zone, actually this is a G2G economic zone. This is being developed by Beza and Sumitomo Corporation of Japan. We call it Bangladesh Special Economic Zone, or actually it is known as Japanese Economic Zone, only 40 kilometers away from Dhaka city. And now it is being developed by the Japanese contractors who are having world-class facilities, and we hope that this will be a lucrative destination, particularly for Japanese investors. This is another promising economic zone in the southeast of Bangladesh, in the Moheshkhali Island. In Moheshkhali is particularly mentionable that our deep sea port, Matarbari, is actually located in Moheshkhali, not very far from this economic zone. And this particular zone is suitable for LPG terminal, shipbuilding industries, and petroleum industries. And hopefully this will be the future energy hub of Bangladesh. And the deep sea port has already been constructed over there. Now I'll shed light on some of the private economic zones under Beza purview. One of them is Abdul Monem Economic Zone, not very far from Dhaka city, and on the Dhaka-Chattogram Economic Corridor, it is situated. Honda, as I've mentioned earlier, has already invested in this zone. Kumilla Economic Zone, also another one on Dhaka-Chattogram Economic Corridor, and it is ready, and land is being allotted over there. Sirajganj Economic Zone, it's in the northern Bangladesh, which is the agricultural heartland of Bangladesh. So agro-based industry can be a potential sector over there. And also inland container terminal is proposed. Land is ready to be allotted over there. Kishoreganj Economic Zone also, not very far from Dhaka, and it's near a river port, so both road and river connectivity is available in this particular economic zone. Hosendi Economic Zone is another private economic zone, only 25 kilometers away from the capital Dhaka and 40 kilometers from the Dhaka airport, and also near to Dhaka-Chattogram Economic Corridor on the bank of a river. So rail, river, and road connectivity is available over there. So this can be an interesting prospect for investors. Finally, I will be shedding light on some special economic zones. This is tourism special economic zone at the southeast part of Bangladesh, near the tourist capital Cox's Bazar. It is directly connected by Marine Drive Road with Cox's Bazar. We call it Sabrang Tourism Special Economic Zone, and already investors are getting land in this particular tourism park. Another nearby tourism park is Naf Tourism Park. It is also being developed right now and ready for allotment of land. And it is also not very far from Cox's Bazar also. So these are some of the informations. You can have more information about Beza and Beza zones, economic zones from our website. And also you can contact us directly, and we'll be happy to welcome investors from Asia Pacific region, and we'll be offering all out supports for your investment in Bangladesh. And that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Ari, because we started presentation 5 minutes late, so Mr. Ari is given more time. But I would appreciate that because we have a very tight schedule, so all speakers will keep their time. So now I would like to welcome Mr. Shekhar. Shekhar, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and thank you to CACCI and all of you for giving me this opportunity. Citi has been in Bangladesh for over 30 years, and I have had the privilege of being here for just about 4 years. So I'm not going to repeat many of the things so well articulated by Mr. Arif, in terms of the good potential and various aspects. So I'd like to give some texture which I think is not really visible outside unless you're here. and so let me try and get to that. The first thing I think to think about is whatever we are going to say now, let's see that this has been achieved by a young country in 50 years from probably a start from scratch. And that itself shows the momentum and the capability of this economy. Some aspects which the sheer scale of both the GDP and the population are not that well appreciated. Hot off the press yesterday, the GDP for the year ending, June 21 is of the order of $364 billion nominal, expected to grow to more than 400 billion in the coming year. The growth rate of the GDP, which was mentioned earlier, has been more than 5% for the last 15 years, and now another 2 years, including the 2 COVID impacted years. And there was a period where 9 years where it was more than 6%. So regardless of the economic crisis of 2008, regardless of changes in administration, the consistency of the economic growth is driven by underlying factors, some of which I'll touch upon, but also clearly there is an institutional and government emphasis on economic growth. The RMG or the ready-made garment sector is one which everybody is very, what shall I say, familiar about from the point of view of Bangladesh. But what may not be that much familiar is a couple of things. One is seeing is believing. One has to go to those factories and look at the technology deployed, the lasers which are being used, the fact that we have the highest number of LED certified factories. It's not just a wage differential situation. There is a quality which comes attached. Otherwise, you can't be supplying to those global suppliers. So that's something to take away. Also, there's a 75% female workforce, which is highly productive and highly skilled. So something to think about there. An area which draws very little attention, sometimes within Bangladesh, is how large the agricultural economy is and what potential it affords. It's the 4th largest producer of rice in the world, 5th largest in terms of vegetables, 5th largest in terms of the freshwater, aquatic fish, etc. And turn to exports, already about $1 billion of exports, and there's a lot of potential. And this is something again which is a little less known. Pharmaceuticals, I think we already talked about. It's virtually 100% self-sufficient from the point of view of domestic consumption of pharmaceuticals, which is quite a track record. What's driving this growth? For a moment, if we keep the garments aside, which everybody knows, I already talked about agriculture. I think it's the demographic dividend, which, clearly speaks for itself. It's 165 million population with, a low median age, of around 26. But there are a couple of other dividends which come along with this population. One is density dividend. I mean, it's very interesting. It's one of the densest countries in the world, makes it very easy to market, actually, time to market. Secondly, there is that density allows the building of social infrastructure like schools, hospitals, etc., which has translated into actually Bangladesh having literacy, infant mortality, life expectancy higher than all the South Asian neighbors. So that density helps there. There's a homogeneity in terms of language and culture, which again allows easier access to the market, easier representation. So these are some of the additional aspects of the demography which I think help Bangladesh. Bangladesh is the 8th largest recipient of incoming remittances from wage earners overseas, the non-resident Bangladeshis. This has actually been a spectacular story. In fact, it increased during this time of the pandemic. And one of the things that this whole current account situation, plus the remittances coming in, plus the support from the loans and from say the Asian Development Bank, etc. Actually, Bangladesh is right now having difficulty in keeping the taka from appreciating. So it's been one of the best performing currencies versus the dollar for the last 5 years, in the region when you look at the peer benchmarks. And that helps, I think, when you look at it from a foreign investor perspective, you're worried about rapid depreciations, right, of your investment when in the local currency. And that's been very well managed. The economy, we'll be hard pressed to find countries which have started from scratch, have gone from LDC and now are going to be a developing economy. And, that's whole flip will happen in 2026 in terms of the various conditionalities. There has never been a debt failure there has never been a cross-border failure. So sovereign debt and cross-border commitments have been met for 50 years without a break. And that reflects a certain conservatism, prudence, and long-term vision in terms of economic management, which really helps if you think about sustainability of growth. The debt to GDP is only of the order of about 35%, which compared to peer group growing countries is quite reasonable. The foreign debt to GDP is very moderate. It's of the order of 10 to 12%. A couple of other things I think to think about from the point of view of specific to Bangladesh. We are at a tipping point from the point of view of anything to do digital. The payment mechanisms, of course, have taken off. The internet penetration is high. The mobile penetration is getting very high. But we are at absolute tipping point from the point of view of being able to do the export of services from here, the investments coming in for venture tech type of companies, the combination of e-commerce, the platforms, consumer finance, and that driving growth. This whole chain is going to attract both investment and is going to be the next engine of growth. There's a very strong micro enterprise sector. Everybody knows about the Nobel Prize winning, history, of one of the institutions, but it is actually ingrained in the DNA of Bangladesh in terms of the support for micro enterprises, and that's helped the standard of living. The per capita income, again, fresh out of the press, is now crossed 2,000. It's 2,200 yesterday, and that's very creditable. It shows that the standard of living is increasing as we come along. Now, coming to the opportunity side and maybe some of the things which need to be done. I think Mr. Arif already spoke quite at length about various sectors. I think the need to diversify the earnings and the investments coming in and the nature of exports of goods or services, I think, is apparent. It has to be done. Value-added agricultural processing is, I think, a very significant area of potential, building on the existing strong agri base. Building the logistics network, which I think is an investment opportunity too. We need the cold chains. We need everything from farm to end. And the studies are being done, and the policies and the regulations are being represented to adjust to build to that potential. Digital, I already spoke about. It's of course a national priority, but it is going to exponentially take off. I mean, there's no two ways about that. There's also going to be a lot of demand for an opportunity for green capital investments, because we're looking at a situation where all this development has to happen in a more green direction, and there is the capital which is going to support that, and that's also something that's going to happen. It's going to create jobs. Skilling up and building that capability from the point of view of high tech education, upgrading the skills so that it can realign with this next generation of what we're talking about, particularly including in the digital space, is going to be also a very important area. Logistics we spoke about. I think something like a national logistics policy would be very helpful. I believe the government is hearing to that. I won't go into all the I think items which Mr. Arif touched upon in terms of the single window, etc., etc. But if I were to give some pieces of advice, along taking advantage or seizing the opportunity which is available. Couple of things to think about is something like if you're setting up an infrastructure, doing it in a BESA premise is absolutely seems to be something you should be seriously considering. I was recently with a client, at groundbreaking at the Meghna Export Authority for a company from Europe, which is into construction materials. You simply enter the gates of that place and you feel comfortable as a foreign investor. And if I could, I don't think we saw the pictures in Mr. Arif's, how it looks and feels, but it really looks and feels like a modern, contemporary, and you have all the global names around you, and you'll feel comfortable as an investor. And working with the Bangladesh Investment Development Authority and BESA together is very helpful. I know BESA and Mr. Arif and his team and Mr. Pawan Chaudhary, if you decide to set up something in BESA, they help you navigate also the various approvals and the tax authorities, and so it comes together. So I would advocate your thinking from that perspective. The other thing I think that helps, if you look at it in hindsight, I mean, as Mr. Arif said, that 100% investment is of course allowed and desirable in many sectors. But one of the things to think about, and if you look at this, what I would say, the speed of success or those who have succeeded quicker, is to consider thinking of a credible and strong local partner. We have seen actually in many cases that combination of the very strong foreign investor and a credible and strong local partner taking advantage of all this infrastructural and logistical support which is coming from a BESA and a BIDA is a very, very what shall I say, effective formula in many cases to be able to seize the opportunity and enter the space. I'm going to stop there. I hope, because I didn't want to repeat what Mr. Arif has said so beautifully and articulately already. And hopefully we catch up a little bit on the time and we can do a little Q&A, which I believe Christy wanted to do. So thank you everybody again. And thank you for all who have listened to us today. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Shekhar, for very comprehensive explanation of Bangladesh's very healthy economic development. We now have several minutes for Q&A. And I understand that I received one question from the audience, and I make it quick. The question is how Bangladesh, as many developing countries, resolve the problem of this disruption of supply chain. For example, you may import needed materials and also intermediate goods from other countries. And how do you manage that? So can Arif or Shekhar give this response in 1 minute?
Arif sir, you want to take that?
Thank you. Thank you for the interest from various investors, as we understand. And I would like to thank Mr. Shekhar particularly for elaborating more on particular strengths of Bangladesh. Yes, this pandemic situation, of course, it has affected the supply chain adversely. And Bangladesh is, of course, being affected also negatively. But the one thing about the robustness of current Bangladesh economic scenario is that we convert any challenge into opportunity. So this adverse situation in terms of the question about the need products that you have raised by one of the investors, Bangladesh is addressing with the various incentives offered for the particular sectors, especially for the RMG, which includes this need sector, and it is paying off. And though the COVID situation, the lockdown and everything started back from March 2020 in Bangladesh, and the initial part, the first 3 months, we had a very tough time for the garment sector, including the need. But since July 2020, the things have turned the paint and the export for the both knit and woven industries have come back to the at least to an appreciable level.
Okay.
So that with the help of the government incentives, we are sure that our knit producers have successfully managed the situation, and they have mended the whatever the impact was on the supply chain in terms of importing the raw materials and also exporting back, and it is again on the track, and the export figures are also showing the same trend, same positive trend. So I think we have addressed the issue properly. It's a partnership of the public and private sector. We believe in progress. We are partners in progress, and it is a perfect example when the public and private sector work together, how we can address any adverse situation, even this kind of tough situation like the COVID pandemic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your quick response on this very important question. We thank two speakers for the first session, and we'll now move to the second session. It's about Taiwan. Can I now invite Mr. William Tan to give a presentation on Taiwan? And Mr. Tan, please keep your time in 15 minutes. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Christy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen online. Welcome your participation of my presentation to tell you that Taiwan is an outperformance location. My unit is called Invest Taiwan Service Center, which is Invest Taiwan in short. Invest Taiwan is the single service window for the projects coming into Taiwan. Taiwan is quite an advanced outpost for many investment projects. Therefore, Taiwan is an ideal partner for those innovation projects. Why Taiwan? Taiwan has advantages in many areas.
好，继续往下。
Such as geographical location, international rating, workforce, industrial strength, supply chain, R&D capability, government policy, and well-respect to intellectual property and so on and so forth. Geographically, Taiwan is well situated at the heart of Asia. Set off from Taiwan by air to all the major destinations at Asia will take you no more than half a day. And goods shipped out by sea from Taiwan will arrive at all these principal seaports in Asia within 2.5 days, proving that Taiwan is really in a strategic location in Asia. In business, of most important is the stability of economics of host country, which Taiwan rated as #1 by World Economic Forum in 2019, and #3 in investment risk in 2020. Of the most valuable asset to business is its workforce. Taiwan is famous for its abundance of high-quality workforce. Statistics show there are more than half of employees in Taiwan having higher education degree, and around 13% working population are in R&D related jobs. Taiwan is also renowned for well-respect to intellectual property. In Taiwan, the implementation of IPR not only meets international standard, but also having IPR police team, Trade Secret Act, and so on to ensure the enforcement. Taiwan is small with limited resources. In terms of area, it's only 36,000 square kilometers distance by road. Nevertheless, within this tiny small island, there are a number of industrial clusters and taking a crucial position to the industrial supply chain in the world. These clusters including Nangang Software Park, where has IC design, digital content, biotech companies in Taipei area. Hsinchu Science Park, where has IC manufacturing, optoelectronics, biotech companies in Hsinchu in the north. Central Science Park, where has semiconductor, optoelectronics, biotech, precision machinery companies in Taichung area. Changhua Coastal Industrial Park, where has metal products manufacturing, green energy, glass making companies in Changhua in the central part of Taiwan. Thailand Science Park, where has optoelectronics, environmental tech, auto parts, precision machinery companies in Hainan area. And Kaohsiung Industrial Park, where has petrochemical, steel, IC manufacturing, metalworks, optoelectronics, ICT companies in Kaohsiung area in the south. In these industrial parks, as mentioned earlier, there are quite a number of renowned companies in their industry respectively. These slides just give you an idea about the dominant company in their industry, particularly in the field of semiconductor panels, electronic components, auto parts, functional textile, metal parts, machinery, and medical devices. The reason why these companies can have the leading position not only attribute to the excellency of the companies themselves, but also have to credit to the relevant research institutes in their respective fields throughout island-wide. These are Biotech Center in the Nangang area, Institute for Information Industry in Taipei, Textile Research Institute, China Productivity Center in New Taipei City, Industrial Technology Research Institute in Hsinchu, Plastic Industry Development Center in Taichung, Automotive Research and Testing Center in Changhua, in the central part of Taiwan, Metal Industry Research and Development Center in Kaohsiung in the south. The important success factor to the companies, in addition to their own capability, is government policy. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce every one of you on what Taiwan government are promoting. Based on the advantages and the infrastructure that Taiwan is having, and proceed what Taiwan has achieved in promoting 5+2 innovation industry previously. Nowadays, Taiwan is strongly promoting 6 core strategic industry. Namely, these are IT industry, cyber security, precision healthcare, green energy, strategic stockpile industry, and defense industry. For IT industry, the purpose is to spur innovation, create opportunity of high value added job, and bring more balanced development to the region of Taiwan, and building Taiwan to become the safest and the crucial stronghold in Asia. Action to take will include the research and development of next generation semiconductor technology. Hence, the AIoT applications will be promoted, and a 5G national team will be organized. This is not only intended to maintain Taiwan's leading position in ICT technology, but also export AIoT solution to the world and secure a key role in the 5G global supply chain. For cybersecurity industry, the purpose is to accelerate the establishment of the national cybersecurity environment and enhance national competitiveness, aiming to building a cyber system and industry chain could be trusted worldwide. Action to take will include research and development into protective technologies such as 5G and semiconductors. 5 solutions on AIoT and healthcare will also be developed. An organization for cybersecurity defense and cross-country collaboration will be established. The strategy to enhance protection of these emerging areas are forge high-end testing arena. For precision healthcare, the goal is to achieve tailored medical treatment and health management for everyone in Taiwan. Action to take will include building a platform which integrates materials of the Taiwan Biobank and establish national health insurance research database system to precision prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and care. Precision epidemic prevention products will be developed, and international biomedical business opportunities will also be explored. This approach will promote Taiwan as a role model in the area of epidemic prevention around the world. For national defense strategic industry, the purpose is to enhance national defense capability and lower the risk of military conflict. Also, to build up the crucial supply chain for global aircraft industry. Action to take will include to promote the indigenous naval vessel and the aircraft industry, 10 key technology, including aircraft engine production and 8 core technologies such as marine propulsion systems building will be developed, aiming and establish a national defense supply chain. For the space industry, low Earth orbit satellites and ground equipment will be developed, and the Taiwan National Space Grant will also be promoted. Yeah. For green energy, the purpose is to generate 20% of Taiwan's electricity from renewables by 2025. Building Taiwan become a model of green industry in Asia. Action to take in this aspect will include to build a renewable energy zone and a base for R&D, to strengthen the cybersecurity of renewable energy certificate transaction and create an offshore wind power national team. Taiwan will also attempt to gain a crucial role in Asia-Pacific wind power supply chain and able to export local wind power products to other countries. For the strategic stockpile industry, the purpose is to build up strategic stockpile industry capable of guaranteeing the provision of key materials. Action to take will include to stabilize main supply chains, including energy, food, daily necessities, medical supplies, disaster relief, set and gravis, and so on, to ensure the provision of critical supplies. Maintain full control over the supply of the raw material and inputs critical to important industries such as semiconductor materials and equipment, and battery powering electric vehicles. Next. Who we are and how we can help. Invest Taiwan is the single service window of all the investment projects. Therefore, in any case, these units include three organizations under Ministry of Economic Affairs. These are Investment Commission, which is in charge of approval of incoming and outgoing investment projects. Department of Investment Services, which is in charge of exploring and developing the list of investment projects. And Invest Taiwan Service Center, who we are, which will hand-holding the investors to carry out their projects. And how we can be of help to all those projects. As Invest Taiwan Service Center is the single service window to all the investment projects. Therefore, in any case, if the projects experience any hurdles or difficulty, Invest Taiwan Service Center will provide a one-on-one customized service to all the investors. Usually, this will include in marketing exploring stage. Invest Taiwan Service Center will implement the resources within Ministry of Economic Affairs to provide services like consultation, partner finding, and so on via industrial promotional offices within IDB, Industrial Development Bureau. Should there is a need for professional advice from accountant or legal or engineering firms, Invest Taiwan Service Center will provide the preliminary assistance as well. Should there is a need for property, whether it's an office, a warehouse, a greenfield or brownfield plot, Invest Taiwan Service Center will also investigate the database to provide. And if the project needs any administrative assistance, ITSC, Invest Taiwan Service Center, as a government agency it is, certainly this will be an area to help. Here are some track records that we have helped with. Just provide you for your reference. Well, this is our website, just for your reference. If you need our help or our service, please refer to here. Our website also includes talent recruiting. So if you are interested to do something here in Taiwan, please approach here. This is our contact details. Feel free if you need any of our services. Thank you for your listening.
他没有关，他没有关开他的麦克，就是他没有开他的麦克。
你要把上面擦掉。
他没有开吧？应该是他在嘉宾那边吧。然后有一个他要要求他解除静音，他是 CACCI
结束，你应该先结束。
好吧。
Oh, Christy, you have to unmute.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, William, for your presentation. I will now invite Brett to provide a business point of view. Is Brett online?
Yes, I am.
Okay, please, the time is yours now.
Okay, is my video on yet?
Not yet.
Okay, let me see if I can get that video on. Okay.
Okay,
Here I
I
am.
see you now. Yeah,
All
great.
right. Good day, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to join this symposium, to learn from you, and to share our mutual experiences during the pandemic. My name is Brett Aaron. I am the CEO of BABI International Corp. We are a food, beverage, and nutritional care manufacturer and distributor based out of Taipei, Taiwan, with a global footprint in about 20 different countries. We handle many brands throughout our network that you may have enjoyed and drank or eaten in the past. Anyway, last year when COVID-19 emerged, we were very, very concerned that we would be hit very hard due to Taiwan's proximity to China and the closeness with the Chinese New Year. At that time, many Taiwanese residents and citizens were traveling between China and Taiwan. And this was of great concern to us. So we planned for the worst. Our IT team set up all kinds of protocols for work from home, as well as management led by myself to actually do some drastic cuts in the company, shelve a lot of initiatives, and consider for the worst. Luckily, very luckily, that did not happen. And the Taiwan situation last year, as many of you know, was very different from the rest of the world. We like to think of ourselves as being in a magical bubble for the past year and a half. Unfortunately, the bubble has been a little pinprick lately, but we'll get there. And as a result, inside of this bubble, our company, BABI International Corp, in its Taiwan business, had the best sales and profitability historically. And we're very, very grateful for that situation. We did not have to let go of people. We did not have to furlough people. We did not have to shelve any of our initiatives. We went full steam ahead, and we went with a booming economy. Taiwan's economy was booming and last year, and things were very well. And why was this? I think it happened even though Taiwan had this close proximity to China, because the Taiwan government had learned very quickly from past experience with SARS, and they took that experience and acted fast. Set up a 14-day quarantine, which was effectively a firewall at the border. And they set up excellent contact tracing programs so that any COVID cases that had come about locally in Taiwan were able to be stamped out very quickly. As a result, I think there was over 265 days without a COVID case in Taiwan. And as a result of this 14-day quarantine, it ensured that people stayed here and their disposable income was spent domestically. And this disposable income was supplemented by government coupons that encouraged travel from people from one city to another city, or to go to the resort areas and to spend their money in restaurants and hotels. Now, Taiwan doesn't rely too much on international tourism. A lot of the international people coming here are coming for business, or it's a lot of family travel. It's different than Thailand, which, as we know, was crushed by the pandemic. So Taiwan, by having these government coupons and by having the local population able to create vibrant all of Thai cities. For example, if you wanted to get a hotel room in one of the resorts in Genting, you often were on a wait list last year. So it was a very vibrant time. While the rest of the world was suffering, we were going to restaurants and we were going out and going to shows and doing all these kind of things that a lot of my friends back in America were only very envious about. The other thing that happened in Taiwan was a lot of the Taiwanese diaspora.
Brett, we lost you. Okay, Brett, I saw you, but I cannot hear you.
Yeah, how about now? Am I back?
Okay, you're back. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry about that. I think I was talking about Taiwanese diaspora. A lot of people from Taiwan, originating from Taiwan, live in many countries. They work in China, they're in Japan, they're in Australia. A lot of these people returned to Taiwan, or they did not China or where they were working. And this also buoyed up the economy greatly. For example, from what I understand, there were over 100,000 more US passport holders living in Taiwan in 2020 than in previous years. That's an enormous amount of people willing to spend and knowing our brands. As a result of these elements, such as the 14-day quarantine, the government subsidies, and the return of many Taiwanese people to live in Taiwan, resulted in best company in Taiwan. So we were very, very happy about that. Very good news. On the international front, as I said, we have business in 20 different ways. Our business suffered greatly. One of the big casualties was our US sales office. We ended up closing that office in June of last year. We actually closed in August of last year. And we ended up moving a lot of our importation that we were doing ourselves to many of our distribution partners on the East and West Coast. This will work out to keep the business going, but the long term is that we'll have less access to marketing and influence over our brands in the US. However, this was one of the casualties. EU and other countries also suffered greatly. China was hit hard for us until basically the third quarter when it started to recover. Looking now at the situation, it's almost a little different. Taiwan, we know, has had a little bit of a problem where now we're in a partial lockdown, and the numbers are persistently keeping about 200-300 a day, which will keep us in this kind of partial lockdown for a while. Our company is working remotely, and this was operationally very easy for us. As I said earlier, we last year had set up all the protocols to do so, and it was actually very quick that we actually 1 week closed the office as a test. Everybody worked from home, and now we have basically 1/3 of the employees in the office on a given day. The operation, as I said, works very well. However, from a sales and marketing point of view, we're facing a little bit of challenges. As many of you know, people can't go to restaurants in a partial lockdown, and they avoid indoor shopping. This is where most of our businesses have.
Brett? I think we are losing Brett. Okay. I think we're losing Brett because in Taipei right now there's a huge thunderstorm. So Brett is back. Are you back?
Yeah, I think this is thunderstorm here.
Yeah, okay. Probably while we wait for Brett, because time is also up. Can I now move to the Q&A session for Taiwan? So we can probably ask the panelists or discussant to respond to 1 or 2 questions. Okay. I received 1 question from the audience. I think this is Brett is back. Okay. My question is, given the little problem Brett mentioned about the vaccination, on the other hand, the world economy is rebounding. So how do foreign investors look at Taiwan's outlook for this year and also for next year? What are their plans? So can either William or Brett answer my question? Thank you very much.
Okay, let me talk from the point of view of government. From our side, from our side, I think we take it as quite promising, the rebound of the economic situation, because particularly our organization is in charge of all the incoming projects single service window. Therefore, according to the inquiry recently we have received, we can really feel that there are quite some serious and keen inquiries talking about how Taiwan can help them to set up their operations here in Taiwan. Therefore, from our point of view, I think we take it quite positively.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think the time is up for Taiwan, so we'll now move to Vietnam. So can I now invite Ms. Hong to speak? Thank you very much. Ms. Hong, are you online?
Yes, I'm online.
Yes, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't think that we can share our video.
Presentation.
Yes, it's good.
Hello, everybody.
Yes.
Yes. I would like to say thank you for CIECA to invite Vietnam to present about the Vietnam business outlook and investment opportunity. It is my pleasure today to give you some of the information about the context of Vietnam investment during the past year and also in the context of COVID-19. My presentation will have 4 parts. The first one is overview of Vietnam economy and FDI inflows. The second one is Vietnam, an attractive investment destination. The third one is the FDI in the global FDI shift, especially after the COVID-19 and the American and China conflict. And the last one is the Vietnam strategy and preparation for the new FDI in the new context. Firstly, I would like to show you the overview of Vietnam economy and FDI inflows during the past year. As you can look at the screen, that we have a very stable GDP growth rate during the period from 2006 until 2019. We are one of the country have a very high GDP growth rate in the region. However, in 2020, after the effective of the COVID-19, the GDP growth rate is decreased to 2.9%. However, I think that this number is still a very good in the region, especially when many countries in the world has a minus percentage in the GDP growth rate. In 2020, Vietnam's total GDP reached 343 billion of US dollar, and the GDP per capita amount to nearly 2,800 US dollar. And in the first quarter of 2021, the Vietnam GDP grew by 4.48%, indicating economic recovery from COVID-19. And we also have a very high trade volume during the first quarter of 2021. The total trade volume reached more than 150 billion US dollar, an increase of 24.1% comparing to the same period last year. And if you look at the picture of FDI inflows in Vietnam during from the first day of open the market for FDI until up to now, you can see that we have experienced 3 waves of FDI in Vietnam. The first wave is in 1990 when we opened for foreigner for the very first time. And then the second wave is in 2006, after we have a bilateral trade agreement with the United States. And the third one is after the 2006 when we joined the
Just over there, buddy. You know the rules.
Yes.
Sorry, I think someone is interrupting the presentation.
Okay, Ms. Hong, please go ahead.
Okay. And then from 2006, we experienced a very good increase of FDI until 2020, when we recognized a deep and sharply decrease of FDI because of the COVID-19. However, we are now have a very good figures by the end of May of 2021, when we have 140 countries and territories have invested in Vietnam, with the total number of projects is more than 33,000 projects. The accumulated registered capital reached to $396 billion US, and the realized foreign capital is around $240 billion US. This one, we can see that for the realized foreign capital is to show that the performance of the FDI in Vietnam is in a very good condition. In the 140 countries and territories have invested in Vietnam, the most in top 10 investor, including Korea, Japan, Singapore, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. You can see that by industry, the FDI in Vietnam inflows mostly in the manufacturing and processing industry, account for 59%. And the next one is for the real estate, is around 15%. And for the other, you can see is the electricity production, accommodation and food service, construction, and the others. But in 2021, in the first 5 months of 2021, we can see a very surprising increase for the electricity project in Vietnam. This is also a very good signal for Vietnam that the project into Vietnam is now moved to the other sector more than the manufacturing and processing industry. And by provinces, most of the FDI concentrate in the big city, where we have a very good infrastructure with a very crowded of labor. For example, in Ho Chi Minh City, in Hanoi, in most of them is the city of Vietnam. And the FDI inflow also concentrated in some provinces that have the port, the seaport, and most of the province have a very good industrial park and the economic zones. So to say an overview of FDI in Vietnam in the first 5 months of 2021, we can say that we still get a very good FDI, especially in the newly registered capital. The newly registered capital grew by 18.6%. This is very good signal for Vietnam, especially in the context of COVID-19 had effect to the FDI inflow all over the world. The trade surplus by FDI firms is 12.6 billion, including crude oil and trades. And if excluding crude oil, is the trade surplus is 11.9 billion. And also we can have some positive highlights related to the performance of API firms. The export by API firms increased by 36.5%, including the crude oil. And if excluding crude oil, the export by API firm increased by 37%. And in the first 5 months of 2021, we have a new investment in the energy, especially the energy in LNG or in the electricity. And because all of the project in the energy sector is to have a very big amount of capital, leading to the average capital size of newly registered increase from $2.2 million to $14.4 million compared to the same period in 2020. You may have a question that why Vietnam still receive a very good FDI during the COVID-19 and during the 2020. We have recognized by the international organization in Vietnam, especially we just have some of the assessment from the American HamCham, the KCCI from Korea, Eurocham, and Jetro from Japan, that we are still a very attractive investment destination. And we can see that most of the investors from Korea and Japan affirm that they will enlarge the investment in Vietnam in the 2021 and in 2022. And the reason of that, we can take 8 reasons that make Vietnam as an attractive investment destination. The first one, that we have a stable social and political environment in the region and also in over the world. The second one is we have a steadily high economic growth that I already show you in the first slide. The third one, that we have a competitive production cost that we already make some of the survey and research in the region, especially in the Asian region. We have a very competitive production cost compared to the Asian country. The fourth is the abundant human resources that Vietnam have now enjoyed the golden population structure that can have a very big amount of labor force for the foreign investor. The fifth one is the market with high growth potential. We have the population nearly 100 million of people, and that makes a very big market for the investor to invest in Vietnam. And the sixth one is intensive international integration. Vietnam now has joined and signed around 15 FTA with a lot of international community that make Vietnam to have a partnership with more than 55 countries in the world and enjoy a very large market of trade and investment. And the next one is that Vietnam now, the government of Vietnam always have to adjust and to have an open door policies with the multiple incentive for the foreign investor to invest in Vietnam. And the last but not least is the strategic geographical location of Vietnam. When we stay in the center of Asia, and we have a connection with most of the market, even the China and the European. So it's make a very good for the investor who invest in Vietnam. Okay, so the next slide is just some of the figures that we make you to have more information about the advantage of invest in Vietnam. I will go to it first for you to look at have a very quick picture about Vietnam investment environment. I would like to give you some of the information that now in 2021 and in the 5 months of 2020, in 2020 and the first 5 months of 2021, we now have we have calculated and summarized that most of the API now has concentrated in some of the sector. For example, the electronic component and equipment, and the energy sector, automobile industry, the e-commerce and logistics, medical equipment, retailing and consumption goods. This also is suitable to the direction of Vietnam government in attracting the API inflows in this new context. So to attract the new investment, Vietnam government has the strategy and preparation the condition to lure more the FDI into Vietnam. I can give you some of the strategy and also preparation of the government of Vietnam. For example, we prepare for the industrial estate. For investor, especially, we open the industrial park and the economic zone with a very good infrastructure. And we also have a training program for the labor force, especially in the high technology. And we also prepare the energy for investor. For example, related to electricity, for investor to invest in Vietnam, promoting, supporting industry, and develop a more incentivized and favorable institutional framework. In 2020, we have a new law of investment that gives a more special incentive for investor that will invest into the big project, the R&D, the high technology, the innovation, and the project that have a connect with the domestic enterprises. And in 2020, we have a create task force to promote API cooperation. This task force is the lead by the Deputy Prime Minister of Vietnam and have a very good result in attracting new investment in Vietnam. This is some of the information that I can give you to make more explanation for my presentation. We can send this presentation later to all of the participants for your information.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Hong, and thank you for agreeing to share the very useful presentation material to all participants. I would like to invite Brian Chen to provide your business point of view. Brian?
Okay.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Hello, Chris. Can you see the screen I share?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for joining. Thank you for our host, CACCI. My name is Brian Chen. I'm the partner of KPMG Vietnam and Taiwan. My office is located in Ho Chi Minh City right now, and KPMG work with many companies around the world that are exploring their new investment. Many of them are now moving their footprint to Vietnam before and after COVID. The world is changing and the manufacturing footprint is changing also. Vietnam's role therein is growing, and I'm delighted to share our observation on how the electronic manufacturing around the world moved to Vietnam and bring Vietnam into the role of the international factory. So today we are going to zoom in on electronic manufacturing in Vietnam. Vietnam is growing in this space as it's growing in many other spaces. In the next few slides, we will talk a little bit about how Vietnam ranks in Southeast Asia. Okay, we are going to zoom in at Vietnam on a country basis for the business environment. Okay, to highlight some key statistics, and we are going to look at the export-oriented manufacturing. It's like a story, sounds very familiar to the story of China. My generation have the privilege to of the witness China's growth as an export-oriented manufacturing. Okay, let's talk about Vietnam as the industry in South Asia. It's going to say Vietnam is growing very quickly as an economy. By many statistics, Vietnam is one of the fastest growing economy in the world. You will notice that the statistics predate COVID. We done it on purpose because it's obviously quite skewed during the COVID. Here is that says Vietnam is that the top of the class in terms of the COVID response. As a result, Vietnam is a new few Southeast Asia countries do not fall into the deep recessionary territories for the economic growth. In 2020, Vietnam still achieved 2+% growth in GDP. Vietnam may have a strong recovery. Hopefully, it will be transferring into the manufacturing. Minimum wage and the average cost of the construction are the statistics that we will go into more detail when we investigate more specific of Vietnam. But I just want to highlight them here just as a comparison to other Southeast Asia countries. I highlight Vietnam and Thailand in the red boxes. So just to give the head-to-head comparison, because so often, particularly in the electronic manufacturing space, these two countries are set in the same breath. Much of the world chips, camera equipment, laptop originated in or have components from those countries. So it's only fitting that we compare them directly. So you see Vietnam minimum wage is comparable lower than other Southeast Asia peers. That said, the output per employee is almost half that of Thailand, meaning that the productivity per employee basis is below that of Thailand, but Vietnam has the fastest growing productivity rate in the world, as 6.3% per annum pre-COVID. Now, personally, I think that number will accelerate dramatically in the post-COVID world, where automation and industrialization continue to expand in Vietnam. So how is Vietnam setting up its international trade agreement? As we know, the China grew as the economic power stem from a few key milestones, one of which, and perhaps arguably, one of the most significant was the ascension into the WTO. Vietnam is part of WTO, but it's also forming its own bilateral trade agreement. Here are the sum of them, and on the right side, you can see the history of the trade agreement Vietnam has signed on. As you can see, Vietnam has the most trade agreement among Southeast Asia countries, most of the significant of which is EU FTA, which is now just being rolled out, linking Vietnam to its European counterparts. Let's zoom a bit on the business environment in Vietnam. What it's like to do business in Vietnam. Let's highlight a key statistics. The labor force in Vietnam, just mentioned by Ms. Hong. Vietnam has one of the largest labor forces per sheer population in Southeast Asia, around 60%. The population and its relatively young age population. Again, I keep coming back to the analogy of China. If you look at the history of Chinese economy, the manufacturing development of China accelerated rapidly in 1990s because China has the largest employable basis of workers ready to work in the factories. And that's where Vietnam is now. Real GDP growth, as I previously mentioned, is around 7%. We see that recovery rapidly in the post-COVID world. Target GDP this year is in high rate. Political risk. Vietnam is one-party state and is stable government system and easier to do business comparing to other countries. Let's zoom in on a few key metrics about doing business in Vietnam. Standard rate of corporation income tax is 20%, which is lower than many other countries. Vietnam also provides a tax incentive to the manufacturing located in the industrial zones. Logistic performance is good, which is 3.2 and is ranked around 39 in the world for logistics. And Vietnam investing its role in development of the North and South Highway and North and South Rail Line right now, expansion port and other critical infrastructure that would be important for not only living in Vietnam, but conducting business and exporting their goods from. Port quality, as we just mentioned, Vietnam is rapidly expansion export to accommodate the future growth prospects. Okay, wage is the critical factors for many decisions in manufacturing are competitive in Vietnam. As we just mentioned, Vietnam has one of the lowest minimum wage compared to other markets in South Asia. Labor tax contribution is 24%, which is comparable to other South Asia countries also. Now, if you look at the cost in doing business, such as the cost of electricity, Vietnam is at 7 US cents per kilowatt, which is considerable below other countries. Similar for the cost of water and gas. Let's take a few minutes to look at the export-oriented manufacturer of Vietnam. How is the playing out in electronic manufacturing sector? Vietnam has developed two main clusters of export-oriented manufacturing for electronics, one in the north and one in the south. The north is dominated by Samsung, Foxconn, and other key suppliers and tier one supplier here. Like Pegatron, LG, which are doing the smartphone and other related parts. Samsung now produces most of its cell phone line from Vietnam right now. In the south, where our office is, we have Intel and other major players like Toshiba. They manufacture their electronic for global export from this cluster. In total, Vietnam has more than 2,000 international manufacturer base here. And in the electronic space, they have employed more than 600,000 employees. Last year, Vietnam has more than $30 billion in FDI in electronic manufacturing. So where are those companies coming from? A lot of them are moving their factory here from China. This obviously has been accelerating during the Trump administration, but has continued past ever since. As you can see, the cost of living and the cost of operation in other countries has been raised. We are seeing we are seeing acceleration of the movement into Vietnam market. Here are a few key examples. Inventec, which is a key component manufacturer and supply to the Apple. And TLC, who is the manufacturer of TVs in Vietnam for global export. Pegatron, who is the key supplier for the Apple as well. Apple now is manufacturing its earbuds and components and keyboards for its laptops here in Vietnam. People said it will be expand its footprint even further. Microsoft manufacture its notebooks and its PC here in Vietnam also. Google has assembled its smartphone in Vietnam from 2019. Lenovo is as well expanding its footprint. Interestingly, we're even seeing some other movement from the other Southeast Asia country like Thailand. Panasonic recently moved its Thai footprint to here in Vietnam, which is our view is cementing the position of Vietnam as one of those Southeast Asia manufacturing hub for electronic. Okay, so really quickly here, we would like to get a highlight on last slide on the composition of the trade over time in Vietnam. And this is the story we can tell for Vietnam as well we can tell for China. Looking backward in the time around 2008, the electronic manufacturing has the value of $8.3 billion and was the second ranked component of the trade, but only made 11% of the total trade. Now fast forward 10 years, and we can see the value grew at over 32 compound annually to a value of $130 billion, and now make up around 47% of Vietnam's trade. As you see, Vietnam is an emerging powerhouse of the electronic manufacturing. Thanks for your time. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Okay, thank you, Brian, for your business point of view. We are coming to the end of the conference, but we still have some time for questions and answers. I received one question from the audience, on Vietnam. So the question is, Vietnam is no doubt a rising manufacturing hub, but Vietnam also faces a lot of competitors, including Thailand, other Southeast Asian countries, and also India. So Ms. Hong, how do you define Vietnam's unique and differentiated role in comparison to all these competitors? So can you respond in probably 1 minute?
Okay, thank you for your question. I think that compared to other countries like Thailand, India, we have some more advantage, especially that we now have a very abundant labor force. And we also have a very big market compared to the other country. We have a 100 million. Of course, compared to India, it's not big as India. However, we also have a government that always have a very good policy in the investment for attracting new investment from foreign country. And as you may know that in 2020, we have a new law of investment that will give more incentive for investors who will invest into the manufacturing, especially in the high technology. For example, if you have a business that participating in the business in the supply chain, and also we have a percentage of production by Vietnamese business, you will have more incentive than the other. And also if you have invest in the project with Innovation Center R&D, and also that the project that impact on economic and social development, you will have more incentive. And as we already have a survey, the incentive in Vietnam is now very competitive with the other country in the region. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The organizer told me that we are closing to the end. So can I take the privilege to invite all panelists to switch on your camera, so we can have probably a few minutes for interaction before we close the conference. So Brett and also Willen, if you are here with us, please switch on your camera. And I wonder whether Brett is back.
I'm back. I just can't
Okay,
get the
great.
video. It's disabled by the host.
Yeah. We actually have a question for you. We received this question from the audience. It's for foreign investors in Taiwan, what they think are the most important challenges post-pandemic for Taiwan. So can you give a response on that?
Sure. I'm trying to get my video on, but if it doesn't go on, everybody can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you clearly. Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Okay. The host has disabled the video. If they re-enable it, I can turn on the video. If not, I'll just answer by audio.
Okay.
Anyway, I can't seem to get it on, so that's okay. Oh, here I am.
Yeah, I see you now.
Well, yes, okay. Post-pandemic, I think the biggest challenge right now is that Taiwan has been thrown off guard and is now totally focused on keeping COVID in check here, and then to vaccinate the population as quick as possible, which will throw a lot of the government programs and how the government was looking forward to opening up and doing a lot of things here will probably be put on hold. Not necessarily put on hold, but slowed down. And I think Taiwan will be put behind other countries, unfortunately, whereas Taiwan was ahead of the game because there was no COVID here. Now we have to deal with that first and foremost. I think the immediate fallout, which will affect investors, will be shipping costs out of Taiwan are very, very expensive if those shipping is going to the West. I think there'll also be a loss of domestic consumers if it's a consumer market that you're investing in, because many of the diaspora that I mentioned earlier will be leaving Taiwan to go back to their respective countries. So you'll see shipping cost increase. You'll see loss of domestic customers. And the third area, I think, which is very important, is the talent pool. There may be an exodus of talent that leaves Taiwan that will go against what Taiwan government has been cultivating, which is trying to enhance its international talent pool. That's why they have the Taiwan Gold Card program and these other programs. Talent is a very important consideration for managers here, and to cultivate the talent. Without that, we really have a more difficult time, and that's probably the biggest challenge as an investor.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for your very candid suggestions to our government and also to our business community. I wonder, is Ms. Shankar here? Because we do have a question for him on Bangladesh's economy.
Yeah, I can take that.
Okay, so we have a question from the audience, and he asks, what is the current situation of the manufacturing sector, and how do you manage to add value to your manufacturing sector in Bangladesh?
I think Mr. Arif had addressed this earlier. All the infrastructure that's coming up, I think the intention is to drive, an increase from the point of view of getting more manufacturing hubs into the Bangladesh. The Honorable Finance Minister announced some special incentives for automobiles yesterday in the budget. I mean, the details are all coming out. There's also been, movement towards the assembly of the phones here, I think, which has been very, advantageous. So again, the combination of this, the economic zones and some of these incentives are going to help. But it is an area I think the government is focusing, and we can see some acceleration. But I would request just Mr. Arif to give a few comments, because this manufacturing is happening in his economic zone. So if you could just add, a couple of points.
If I may add a few.
Can you make it in 1 minute?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Of course, to increase in this particular competitive arena, the government and also the private sector is focusing on mainly to becoming more competitive, increasing the productivity, and also investing in skill development of people. In terms of increasing the competitiveness, we are also thinking about converting our economic zones and the production facilities greener. So you'll be happy to know that already we have chalked out a green and economic resilient economic zone guideline. And so we'll be converting all our economic zones green, so which will give our investors an edge when they'll be competing with investors from South Asia or Southeast Asia for that matter. And skill development also another sector, as I have mentioned out. And economic zones as a whole will be offering all those incentives, including facilities, infra, and utilities, and will be giving another manufacturing edge to the investor from home and abroad.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for that answer. We want to be fair and give each panelist and discussant one question. So Brian, we need to give you a question. I actually have a question from the audience and asking, since you are working with KPMG, what would you suggest to your clients in your clients wants to make investment in among the Southeast Asian countries? How do you recommend him to go to Vietnam? What would you say to him?
Okay, I think Vietnam have a lot of advantages compared with other countries, but I'm thinking Vietnam have their own regulation. If you want to invest and go move your footprint to Vietnam, my suggestion, you should understand their regulation and follow compliance. So maybe you can prevent some risk or save some investment cost. That is my recommendation for the potential investor from other country.
Okay, thank you very much for that very quick and very good, very convincing answer. Now, we have successfully concluded 3 sessions introducing economic outlook, opportunities and challenges of 3 economies, Bangladesh, Taiwan, and Vietnam. We appreciate very much all panelists and discussants for sharing their views and provided the most up-to-date policy direction. And we learned that these 3 economies are actively looking beyond the pandemic and preparing for moving to the next stage of their economic development. We also want to thank all participants from across Asia to join us today. We understand that most of you are working from home now, so please stay safe and protect yourself properly. And last but not least, I want to thank the staff of CACCI for arranging this visual conference. I now invite all the panelists and discussants to wave to our audience, and now I declare the conference closed. Thank you very much. I hope to see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.